Please give a warm Georgia Tech welcome to our guest, Greg Sullivan.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Good afternoon. Good job, Amber. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here today. How many of you are required to be here? Is this a class of some kind, or yeah? Okay. Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna try to make it as enjoyable as I can for you. Looking forward to telling you a little bit about my career, about Walmart. Certainly take some questions for you at the end, and again, try to give you as much information as I can. Our CEO, Mike Duke, was here about a year ago. Did any of you, were any of you able to sit in the audience? And a few of you? Okay. So you'll see some similarities in what we talk about, but I think probably the biggest difference that I might be able to provide is my career path at Walmart is very different than Mike Duke's. I started with Walmart 19 years ago. I was going to the University of Washington in Seattle, lived there for most of my life, and needed, like many of you, I think we have a lot of undergraduate students here, needed a job, right? About done with school, had a great time in college, and I needed to find a place to work. Didn't know much about Walmart. At the time, Walmart really didn't exist in the Northwest. In fact, the closest Walmart store to Seattle was about 9 hours away. So, in fact, I had never been at Walmart, never stepped foot in a store. Had a couple friends that worked at Walmart and said that it was a great place to work. They had had a good time there in the first year that they had been there. So I decided, well, I'm gonna look into this Walmart thing. I read Sam's book, and to be honest with you, decided that's where I wanted to work. In fact, it was the only place that I interviewed. Some of my friends and my family says that I was too lazy to apply anywhere else, and thank goodness for me that Walmart offered me a job. But it turned out very well for me. I loaded everything that I had into my pickup truck, my cat, my couch, a few things that I had, and drove 9 hours to this store in Klamath Falls, Oregon, and started my Walmart career. I'll talk about the culture of Walmart. I'll talk about my experiences with Walmart. I'll talk about, what, from my point of view, has made Walmart successful, what we're focused on, and where we're headed. But I'll tell you that for me, what was real fortunate was my initial start with Walmart. I had an opportunity to experience the culture in a way that I'm going to tell the story about my first day and my second day at Walmart, and it really exemplified for me what the Walmart culture was all about. And I think it's a big part of why I really decided to commit the last 19 years and move my family all over the place to be a part of Walmart. And it's really a story about people, and it's a big part of our culture at Walmart is respect for the individual and really working hard with these people day in and day out. So my first day at Walmart, I go home after long day's work, and I'm watching Monday Night Football, and there's an earthquake in Klamath Falls, Oregon. This is a true story. 6.2 earthquake, and I'll jump up, and I go to the TV because it's the only thing I have worth any kind of value in my studio apartment. And I salvage the TV, and everything is still working, so I'm able to stop and finish and watch the game. And that's all I really thought about, right? So the next morning, I go to the store, and something seemed weird when I got to the store. There were all these cars parked up right by the front of the store, and something didn't quite seem right. So I go into the store, and that's where I really got my first sense of what Walmart was all about, and where I realized that this is the place that I wanted to work. And what had happened with everybody else that worked at the store was similar to my night, except that as soon as they saved the TV and made sure the family was okay, they all thought about each other, and they all thought about the store. And they all went to the store, and they all spent all night cleaning up the store and trying to do everything they could so that the store could open the next morning. Because as you could imagine, in any retail store, imagine a Walmart store with a 6.2 earthquake, a lot of stuff's going to fall down, right? Ceiling tiles, merchandise. It was a mess. It was a mess. And more than 100 associates had come to the store after they knew their family was okay, and made sure each other was okay, and literally spent the entire night trying to get that store ready to open for our customers the next day. And I remember in retail establishments, there was a Kmart in the Klamath Falls at the time, and these places weren't able to open the next day. And we were open by 9:30 the next day. And it was then that I realized this is a really unique place. This is a place that really, for me, and I tell people all the time, Walmart isn't for everybody, but it really seemed like a place that I wanted to work, a place where people were committed like that, to be able to work together, to pull together, to try to get that store back open. So from Klamath Falls, Oregon, really I could describe my career as bouncing around all over the place. I spent time in store operations in different training roles, management roles, mostly in the Northwest, started moving to the east, ended up in Arkansas for a period of time in HR. And Bentonville is, for what some of you may think of in terms of Bentonville, it's not a bad place to live. My wife, I got married shortly after I started working for Walmart, and she had never lived anywhere except the big city in Seattle. And she was terrified to go to Arkansas. But I'll tell you, it wasn't that bad of a place to live. When you take the largest retailer in the world and all the vendors and the suppliers and all the people that work there, you create this place in Northwest Arkansas that's not what you would think of as Northwest Arkansas. So 9 moves is what I've done in my 19 years with Walmart. And I think many of you are probably about to start your career and have roots and have connections, maybe here, maybe somewhere else, and that's fine. For me, being willing and able to move around and have that flexibility meant a lot in my career, and it afforded me an awful lot of opportunities to meet new people and experience new things. And that's I think an early part of everybody's career is about, I guess, what I would call practice, right? You get an opportunity to learn new things and to try things out, and sometimes you make mistakes. And I tell people all the time that the greatest advantage I have had in my career, and I think what's helped me move up, is I've been able to make mistakes. Walmart moves me somewhere else, and I get to start over again. And the mistakes that I made, they don't go with me, because the people that I'm with now, they don't know much about me. So it's been a good opportunity for me to do that. I have been in Atlanta now for 2.5 years, and I think as you stated, I've got Alabama as part of my territory, Georgia, South Carolina, and the Panhandle of Florida. I'll talk to you a little bit about our stores and some of the new and innovative things that I think that we're doing in the area in a few minutes as we go through this. But we started to decentralize as a company a handful of years ago. And if I was in my role 5 years ago, there are 12 people that do what I do in the company. We would have all lived in Arkansas. But we decided that we needed to get our leadership a lot closer to the customer, right? We really needed to live in the communities where our stores were and where our people were, so that we could better take care of the customers and our associates. And that's been a big deal for the company, and I think it's really proven to be very effective. There's nothing like being able to wake up and see the newspaper or the news on the television for your area, as opposed to everybody going back to this vacuum in Bentonville, Arkansas. And I think it's helped us make really good decisions, because, and you'll hear me talk about it as I go through this, that it's about the customer, for us. And for so many companies to be successful, it's about understanding your customer and what they want and what they need and how you can best take care of them. So that leads me really to talk about what is Walmart. And what you see on the screen is what I would say best exemplifies truly what Walmart is, and that is the 3 basic beliefs and the productivity loop. Okay? Simple and straightforward. Respect for the individual, service to our customers, and striving for excellence. And you'll hear me, as I tell stories about my experience with Walmart, I think you'll hear many of those relate right back to those 3 basic beliefs. It's the first thing that I was told when I came to work at Walmart. And I think it's part of the reason that Walmart has been as successful as it has, is that Sam Walton instilled these values with all of us from day one. I started 1 year after Sam died. So I never met Sam, never got to see him, never got to hear him in person. But Mike Duke said a year ago, and I would echo that sentiment, I feel like I knew him. I've watched so many videos. I've seen so much testimonial from Sam, and his footprint and his fingerprints are all over what we did before he passed and what we still do today. Specifically, the productivity loop. And this is really, every company has to know what they're good at. And while you have to change and evolve, you have to know what you're good at, because at the end of the day, you have to do that extremely well. And for us, it's about the productivity loop. And I want to start with the operate for less portion of that. Because really, from a store operation standpoint, that's the most important thing that we do in field operations to deliver for the company. We have to operate for less. And some of you may have heard stories about Walmart and the frugality of Walmart, and there's all kinds of funny stories out there about how tight Walmart is with pennies, and it's true. I'll tell you it's true, and I'll give you one example, and it's a little example, but I'll tell you that when you have a company that has 2 million associates, I have 107,000 associates that work in the Southeast. If you have everybody in your organization doing the little things in the area of what you need to do best and what's the most important, you can make a big impact with it. So I'll give you one example. And I see people writing notes, and you have pens. I've never bought a pen at Walmart, and I've never bought a little notepad like this, because the hotels give them away for free. They do. This one happens to be from Holiday Inn, and it says "Stay organized" on it. And I would tell you that the first thing that I do when I go and check into a hotel is I get my free pen and free notepad. And a big part of being at Walmart is that we have to teach and tell stories to our new associates that come on board. And I don't know who taught me that. I don't remember all the things that I do to try to save pennies and to save dollars. But there are so many things like that we do because we know that our mission, which is in the middle there of saving people money so they live better, it's critical. It's absolutely critical for us to operate for less so that we can sell for less. Because we can say we're going to sell for less, and we can actually sell for less. But if we don't operate for less, then we're going to go broke. Right? You have to be able to have the profit margins necessary to be able to do that. So whether it be a notepad or a pen, those little things are big, because what I certainly know at Walmart is we deal with big numbers, but little numbers multiplied by big numbers are usually big numbers. And when we get everybody focused on those little things, it makes a big difference with Walmart. What I want to talk a little bit about now is get into where we are as a company, and just, if you would, for a minute, think about retail. And what you see on the slide is the top retailers in terms of volume in 1970. Okay? And then, of course, you can see that list in 1990 and 2011. And here's what I'd ask you to think about. If you look at that list in 1970, raise your hand if you know what Grant is, that company. How about McCrory? We got a couple. Genesco? Okay. So it's entirely possible that 30 years from now, when maybe you have kids and they're sitting in here, there will be 3 or 4 companies on this 2011 list, and they won't know who they are. I'm not going to say any names, because I'm here to talk about Walmart and what we're going to try to do to continue our growth and to continue our success. But that's something that I have what I would call a healthy paranoia about at Walmart, and what I think Walmart talks about and thinks about a lot, because that's a pretty sobering thing to see. You certainly see some companies that have continued to do well and continued to move up and continued to thrive, but 41 years ago is not that long ago. I was born in 1971. I don't know some of the companies on that list on the left. I know the companies from 1990. And certainly the ones from 2011. So some of what I'm going to talk about is really why I think Walmart has been able to stay at the top of that list in the last 21 years, and the way that we're looking at and trying to embrace what we think the future of retail is, which, you know, you don't have to be able to predict the future of retail to be able to focus on it and to try to ensure that you can thrive and you can be successful on the top of that list. So let's make sure we can stay on top of that list. One of the things that we at Walmart did, without a doubt, one of the probably the best decisions that we made is we knew we had to look internationally. And this map right here shows in a snapshot and how big our presence is, not just in the US, but throughout the world. I don't know how many of you knew that we had more units internationally than we have in the US. Many of these are through acquisition, but many of these are through organic growth inside these countries in which we do business. There is huge opportunity throughout the world, both with e-commerce and with brick and mortar. And so we started taking steps 20, 25 years ago to help give us a foothold to be able to grow as the international market grew, as the middle class started to rise in some of these communities, as general merchandise became important, and as the need for supply chain to help countries like India and China provide food and fresh fruits and vegetables to customers throughout those countries. So while there's still a lot of the world that we're not a part of, it's important, and we believe wholeheartedly at Walmart that we have to be big players internationally, because Sam commented on constantly before he died was that we needed to lower the cost of living for everyone. And his mission to save people money so they could live better applies to people throughout the world. And one of the things that we figured out is we can't do it the same that we do in the United States. We've had some failures, right? But one of the things I think that's made us successful at Walmart is we haven't been afraid to take some chances. You won't see on there a presence in Germany because we weren't successful in Germany. But what we did do is we learned from our mistakes in Germany, as an example, and we applied some of those learnings throughout the world. I had an opportunity to spend some time in South America, in some of our stores in Chile about 2 years ago. And we acquired a company called DNS in South America. And we have probably, well, there's 322 units now. I think there was less than 200 at the time of the acquisition. And what I noticed when I went into the stores was how much they felt like Walmart. And we hadn't had these stores for more than a year under the dual banner with DNS and with Walmart. And I remember talking to some of the leadership and some of the people involved in the integration and said, how has this been so successful? Why do these stores feel so much like Walmart? And the comment was, I think, resonated really well, which was, it's been one of the most successful integrations because their basic beliefs were almost lined up exactly to Walmart's. And so I think what we learned was how important it is that you can't just go international and put up a Walmart sign and take your business over there, that it's about the people. And it's about the people and the culture, and we learned a lot from acquisitions like DNS that helped us, for example, with MassMart in sub-Saharan Africa. It's been another great transition for us. In less than a year, we feel like we've really been able to integrate a lot of those units and start to build plans for growth. So international was certainly something that helped us continue on that list and continue our growth and our strength. What I want to talk about now is about our formats. And you can see a good quote from Sam about not just doing the same thing that got you here, but it's about change, right? Everything around you is changing. To succeed, you have to stay out in front of the change. So how many of you have been in a Walmart store? Okay, so most of you, right? If not all of you. How many of you have been in what's called a neighborhood market? Got a few people in neighborhood market. So I would imagine there's some of you that don't even know what a neighborhood market is. So a big Walmart supercenter is about 200,000 square feet. Those are the ones that you're most familiar with if you're here, or probably where you're from. A neighborhood market is really just a neighborhood grocery store. We opened 3 in Atlanta this year. They're about 40,000 square feet, so less than a quarter the size of a big Walmart supercenter, and its primary focus is health and wellness, groceries, food, and consumables. Okay, how about an Express? How many of you have ever been in a Walmart Express? I'll be impressed if anybody raises your. Okay, there we go. We got one person that's been in a Walmart Express. How many of you even know that that there is such thing as a Walmart Express? Anybody heard of Walmart Express? So it's a pilot. It's a pilot that we've got going now, primarily in North Carolina, and it's again smaller than a neighborhood market. It's really about a quarter the size of a typical grocery store, and its focus is food and consumables and convenience items. And it's a format that we think could really help us in a variety of areas, maybe more rural areas and also maybe more urban areas, to be able to give people access to everyday low-priced food and consumable items in a variety of different places where we don't have access to, or people don't have access to our brand now. And then there's one other one that I wanted to tell you about, and that is campus stores. And there was a couple of us talking about it before today's session. And so we have a format in Fayetteville, Arkansas, at the University of Arkansas. And it's called a campus store. And it's really a pharmacy on the University of Arkansas campus with a few convenience items to help provide easy access for customers, for prescriptions, and really some of the quick items that you might need in a Walmart store. And then there's another format, even more local here, and I would imagine very few of you know about it here, and that's a format that we have at the Delta home office. So Delta, have any of you ever been onto the Delta home office campus? Probably not, some of you. So we have a Walmart pharmacy in their home office. There was another pharmacy that wasn't successful and they left, and we partnered with Delta, and we have a Walmart pharmacy inside of Delta. So the point of me telling you all that is, one of the things that we've had to do is we've had to be flexible. We've had great success with the big store that most of you are familiar with, but you know what? That's not what everybody wants. That's not what every community wants. And so we've had to change and we've had to adapt to say, okay, this might not be something that we've been good at in the past, but how can we make this work? How can we fit into the community so we can provide the merchandise at the prices that the customers want, where we otherwise couldn't get into? And so it's been a big part. It's been a big part of our growth, and I think certainly something that is giving us an advantage to show that we can be nimble and we can be flexible in the communities that we operate. All right, now I want to talk a little bit about the customers, right? So I talked about how important service to the customers really is at Walmart. And so innovation and technology, and the next couple slides will probably resonate maybe a little bit more with this group here, but the retail environment is changing pretty dramatically. And so we've had to really leverage technology and understand how we can use this technology to better communicate and partner with our customers and to be able to provide them the goods and the services that they want with Walmart. So let me give you an example with Pay with Cash. So what was obvious was there was a lot of customers that wanted, and the customers were telling us that wanted to be able to purchase things on a website, right? Because when you can go on Walmart.com or any other website, the assortment is expanded dramatically, right? You might be able to have access to 125,000 items in a Walmart store and 2 million items on a website, right? But you know what? Not every customer had a credit card. Not every customer felt comfortable to use a website to put their credit card information out there. This group is saying, what are you talking about? Believe me, it was amazing how many people felt that way. Probably a little bit older generation than most of the people that are here. But what we did was we created a way that a customer could go online at Walmart.com and they could place their order, and then they could go into the store, pay for that item with cash, and get it sent to their home. Seems pretty straightforward and simple, but something that we were able to do to say, okay, how can we continue to expand online and take advantage of the brick and mortar, right? Something that not all of our competitors can do. Difficult for Amazon to be able to do that, as an example. So it's just one example, but it's the way that we're looking at the technology and trying to say, how can we use this technology to help our customers? Mobile technology is another really good example, right? I mean, that is becoming, without a doubt, a very important vehicle for customers that use mobile technology, that want to be able to use it in their store. So we're working on ways, how can we make it easier for a customer to shop in a Walmart store with the use of their mobile technology, right? Because the stores are big, right? got to navigate the whole store, got to go through the checkout line. So what we're doing, and some of the things are in pilot right now, and I can't talk too much about them, but to be able to use your phone to quickly navigate to where the merchandise is that you need, and to help you self-checkout as you're going through the store to expedite when you're ready to pay your money and to leave the store. So a lot of work being done in mobile, a lot of work being done in innovative ways to try to help connect the customer to Walmart's brand in a way that's meaningful to them. Because I will tell you one thing that we really believe at Walmart is that right now, there's still, I think, a pretty big distinction in most people's mind between a Walmart store and a website, right? I mean, I think most people, yeah, there's a pretty clear distinction. I'm either going to go somewhere and buy it in their store, I'm going to go on a website and buy something. But we know that the lines are starting to get blurred. And people may want to be in a store, and if they like this shirt and it fits well, they want to be able to get it in a variety of different colors. And they may be able to use their mobile application and with a QR code and be able to place that order and say, yeah, I like it. I'm going to buy the yellow one here, but I want a green one and I want a blue one. And I want to be able to do that while I'm in the brick and mortar store. I don't want to have to leave and go on a website, or I don't want to have to go access it somewhere else. These lines are going to get blurred, and the better job that we do at serving that customer's needs in any channel, we know the better off we're going to be in the long run. Let's talk a little bit about Facebook, and this is something that I'll tell you that I've been very excited about, and something that we're working hard on at Walmart to bring the opportunities that Facebook provides to Walmart. So how many of you are friends of Walmart on Facebook? Come on now. See, brought a couple people with me from Walmart here, and they're raising their hands. We got a few more over here. We have over 23 million fans on Walmart.com. Okay, Walmart as a company, which is really no big deal, right? I mean, look, a lot of, maybe the number's a big number, but a lot of companies, seems like most companies now have the ability for you to like them on Facebook. So what I want to talk to you about, though, is what we've done that we know and we believe is very different, and how we're using this opportunity with Facebook to really connect better to our customers. And I will tell you, in the last couple years, in fact, Mike Duke has really built up a relationship with Sheryl Sandberg and Mark Zuckerberg. They've been out at our corporate offices on a couple of occasions and really trying to figure out together, how can all the access to the customers that we have be harnessed to help us better take care of our customers. And let me give you an example. So I have 340 stores in the Southeast, and each one of those stores has an individual Facebook page, okay, that's unique to that individual store. So, the local store that I shop at, I'm a friend to that store. I've liked that store. And that store has maybe 5,000 individual customers that have liked that store. So with this individual Facebook page, now we can build a relationship with that individual store with the customers that shop that store, right? So it's no longer me and a generic Walmart, Bentonville, Arkansas. It's me and my local store, with my local store manager and the local associates talking to me about things that are local and important to me. So imagine that you are a friend to your local Walmart store, and you get a message that says, hey, the Rainier cherries just came in, the crop came in, they came off the truck, we're putting them out right now, they're X amount a pound, come on in and get some. Right? Or let me give you a real example that we had recently. So Hurricane Isaac, right? You're familiar with Hurricane Isaac, that was a pretty big threat to parts of our business in the Gulf. I've got stores in the panhandle of Florida, and we were able to communicate with our customers when we opened back up, whether or not we had water, whether or not we had batteries. So you're a customer, your power's out, you're assessing the situation, and you're able to know that, okay, my Walmart a mile down the road, they're back open, because I just got a message from the store manager, and he told me that it's back open, and they have water, they just got it off the truck, so we can go down there now and not waste our time and go ahead and get what we need. So This sort of connection that we're building is, I think it's very unique and it's very exciting to what we're trying to build. So it's something that we've been really leaning into. I know in my area, we have over 500,000 individual likes in our 340 stores. I think our top store has over 7,000 likes just for that store. So it's a way to not only give information to our customers, but it's a way for us to get information from them as well. Real time, quick information so we can make adjustments, so we know what we're doing well, and so we know what we need to do better. Sustainability. I'm sure, and I'll tell you, when I got my MBA, I actually got my MBA just a few years ago from the University of Denver. It seemed like the cohorts that I went through the program with, they always wanted to talk about sustainability. And it's been a really big topic lately. And quite frankly, I think it's a big reason why a lot of people have come to work for Walmart. Because it's exciting to see, again, I talked earlier about a big number multiplied by a small number is a big number. And when you have the amount of stores that we have and you have the amount of trucks that we have on the road and the amount of merchandise that we move around, when we make adjustments and we make changes that help us be more efficient, with our supply chain, that help our distribution centers operate more efficiently, or our trucks operate more efficiently, it's unbelievable the kind of impact that we can make. So the other point that I wanted to make with this particular slide is, I think something else that's at Walmart has helped make us successful is we've not been afraid to try things that are hard and to make big, bold statements like, let's be supplied 100% by renewable energy by 2025. Let's create zero waste, right? I mean, I guess anybody could say that, but what's interesting is how much focus and attention at Walmart we put behind the metrics that help us get there. So I can tell you that I know in my division how close I am to whether or not I'm creating zero waste, right? I've only got a few years left because Mike Duke has told me I need to get to zero waste in the next few years, and I'm at 79.5%. And I think the point there is that if you want to do something, if you want to make a bold statement like that, you've got to measure it. You've got to track things. That's how you can line up your resources and line up your people in order to do something like create zero waste. And I need to get that last 20%, or Mike might ship me off to China or India or something to go work over there. Being 100% supplied by renewable energy, and I'll tell you what's a common question that you hear brought up, and I've had people ask me at Walmart is, is that really good for the company? Is it good for the bottom line? Is it good for the shareholders? And I actually had an article that I was reading yesterday, and in this past fiscal year, we added $150 million to our bottom line because of the work that we've done on solar and wind technology in our stores. And from a waste reduction standpoint, we've added $231 million last year by our work to create zero waste. Because when I'll use the example of, whether it be donating food or composting organic material, or recycling cardboard or plastic, you get an income stream for that, but you also don't have to pay to have it hauled away and thrown in a landfill. And so to be able to take what was a waste stream and an expense line and turn it into a profit line, it's unbelievable, again, what you can do when you have big numbers and small numbers together. So that's something that we get asked constantly, and I know a lot of people internally to the company are very proud of the work that we've done there. The last thing I want to talk about, and I guess related a little bit more to me, and I know that people here don't know a whole lot about Walmart. I get a lot of questions, and I'm looking forward to hearing what kind of questions you have here. We had, talking to some of the people before I started today, they wanted to know, do you really do a cheer? And do you really have to do you have a meeting every Saturday morning? And we do the cheer. We don't have a meeting every Saturday morning. We have a meeting once a month on Saturday morning. But the one thing that I will tell you about Walmart, and I think it's been important for Walmart's culture, where we do have to work so hard and we have such high expectations, is we have fun. And it's something that Sam, really made a point of, and you can see him on the top of that slide in a grass skirt doing a hula on Wall Street. He made a prediction or a bet with David Glass on whether or not we would be able to achieve a certain number by a certain time frame, and he said that if we did, he'd do the hula on Wall Street, and there's a picture of him doing that. And you can probably see me in the bottom pictures here. I'm the bald one in the middle. I'm not too hard to find there, but let me tell you what that is so you don't wonder what in the world you're doing there. We had a 50-year celebration with our company this year. We've been a company for 50 years, and so we have gone throughout the 50 states, and we've done celebrations with our associates. And a couple of things that we did was on the far right, and if any of you have read Sam's book, there was a legendary story about a moon pie eating contest. Who knows what a moon pie is? Oh, wow. Well, these are college students. Yeah, you definitely know what a moon pie is. And so I don't even know how to describe what a moon pie is, but it has a lot of icing on it and a lot of sugar, and it resembles a Twinkie in some ways. And so there's a legendary story about somebody buying way too many moon pies and had to figure out how to sell them. I think they tried to order a pallet and probably ordered a truckload. And so got the community out, had a big contest and see who could eat the most moon pies. So we replicated that. And boy, that was definitely not a contest that I was hoping to win. And I will tell you, I finished in second place there. But so having fun, not taking ourselves too seriously is definitely something with Walmart. The picture on the left, you're probably wondering what we're doing there. We're seeing how far we can spit sunflower seeds. And I'm happy to say that I did win that contest, 23 feet. So this next weekend, if you have any watermelons, you want to try to beat 23 feet, I'll challenge you to do that. But I think I know it's a big part of the culture and something that's definitely been a fun part something fun to be a part of, and a way that the associates can really connect, with you in the stores. So here's what I would tell you. I want to relate it back to what I said at the beginning, then I'd be happy to take some of your questions. I told you what the 3 basic beliefs were at Walmart, and under respect for the individual. The takeaways that I have for you is, in the end, it's always about the people. It's always about especially if you're in a service industry, or if you're in retail, any kind of service industry, it's about the people. It's not about you. It's about the connection that you have with your people. It's about the culture. That's what's going to help you connect with your customers. Service to our customers. Here's a quote from Jack Welch. If the change inside your organization is slower than the change outside of your company, then the end is in sight. And that goes back to trying new things, not being afraid to get out of the box, not being afraid to fail. You've got to constantly evolve and to change, or you could become one of those companies that's no longer on the list. And then you can't be afraid of hard. You can't be afraid to try hard things, to get out of your comfort zone, because you can't have great successes without trying and doing things that are extremely hard. So I thought I'd give you kind of what Walmart's 3 basic beliefs has meant to me, and how I've been able to try to apply those to things that make sense for me. So I'd love to take some time now. I think we have about 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. I do also want to take a minute to introduce some of the people that are here from my team. So we have a few here. So Sham Anthony is right over here. He's my Director of Innovations, and he's actually a student at Tech in the MBA program. I think he has class tonight. Been with Walmart 7 years, started in supply chain, and is now Director of Innovation. So a lot of the work that we're doing with mobile, a lot of the work that we're doing from an efficiency standpoint in the stores, he's a part of. Katie Wright next to Sham, and she's in our marketing department. So thank you for being here, Katie. So the commercials that you see, if you have opinions on those, you know who Katie is, and you can go. D'Anthony Hall is right up here, and D'Anthony works in our merchandise execution team, so helping to make sure that what we are trying to do and what we say we need to do in the stores is getting done and getting executed. And then Kevin Hester. Kevin started in the stores and now really works on our real estate team. We've been working hard to build our real estate pipeline, to open some of the new stores that I was showing you, the different sizes and the different locations. So if you have great ideas about where you think a store ought to be, then come see Kevin. Come see Kevin after. So good. Well, I'd love to take some questions.
Hi, Greg. I was wondering, when you came to the Southeast, what were some of the changes, the big changes that you made that had the most profound beneficial effect?
So specifically, I think you're probably talking about the business and about the stores. So I'll tell you first of all that on the surface it's very similar, no matter where you work. In that you have to listen to the customers and you have to deliver to the customers what they want and when they want it. And I think for the most part, when you look inside a Walmart store, you see a lot of things that are very similar, whether it be in Seattle, Miami, Florida, or in Atlanta. But what we learned and are still continuing to learn, and actually DeAnthony does an awful lot of work on this, is how do we make sure that we're truly connecting store by store to provide the right merchandise for that customer in that community. And what we find is that you may have stores that are 10 miles apart and have very unique needs for that customer base. It might be a store that needs to sell a lot of college apparel merchandise, or it might be a store where music tastes are dramatically different from one store to 10 miles down the road. It might be in my territory. I'll give you an example. We've got stores in the Panhandle of Florida. We have stores where people go on vacation, right? And those stores are 10 miles away from stores where people shop day in and day out where they live. And so what we have to do is we have to make sure, and I think we've with some of the new structure that we have with people like DeAnthony and the team that they have, is figuring out ways to get the right merchandise in those right stores so that, it might be 85% of the store might be the same, right? Because a lot of the basics that people need, they're going to be the same no matter where they are. But that 15%, you've got to get that right. And when you get that right, that's where that customer gets that emotional connection to it. And that's where you get that customer and that repeat business. So it's a good question. It's a constant challenge.
Hi, my name is Bilal Manzoor, and I'm a third-year biochemistry student. I'm talking on an international level here. How do you connect with the people individually? Like, a store in India is going to be completely different than a store in Brazil. You kind of touched on this earlier, but I mean, how do you keep the business ethics of Walmart in those individual stores?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think there's two things that really come to mind, and that is you need to be very careful and very smart and very patient before you enter a country, right? I mean, you have to do a lot of research and really understand, to your point, what's different with the ethics, what's different with the customs and the way things are done in that country to make sure, as I said earlier, that the Walmart model can work in a country like that. Oftentimes, what works and what has worked for us is find a company that really matches up with what Walmart's trying to do, and that really helps gives you some minimizes the risk, right? To be able to find a company that does a lot of the things from a respect for the individual, striving for excellence in customer service that matches with Walmart. The second thing I think it's really important is you have to go in knowing that you've got to find the leaders in that country and in those communities to help. You can't just think that you can bring a bunch of people from Arkansas or from the US and replicate what you have here. You certainly need that, right, to help bridge that gap, but you've got to find the great leaders in those countries and help understand what those customs are and the things that work in that country. And I'll give you an example of that. When we went into Japan, so Seiyu was the company that we partnered with in Japan. And what was very different and pronounced in Japan is that where in the US it might be 60 to 70% of the purchasing decisions are made by women, in Japan it's more like 90 to 95% of the purchasing decisions are made by women. And it's very different in terms of, in Japan, women in leadership roles. Far fewer women in leadership roles. So we saw it as a huge opportunity. If 90 to 95% of the purchasing decisions are made by women in Japan, and there are very few companies that have women leaders, we need to grow and develop women leaders in Japan to help make sure that our stores are relevant. And it's become a competitive advantage for us to take advantage of something that's so different and unique in Japan and tap into that resource in that country and not just assume that things are going to be the same. So, good question.
I have two quick questions. The first one is it true that there are no Walmart stores in New York City? And is that why you're looking at these different formats to penetrate these very urban markets? And the second question relates to Europe. I noticed that you mentioned Germany, and you pulled out of Germany, but there did not appear to be any Walmart presence in Europe. And I guess the question is, are you just writing Europe off and just focusing primarily on the Far East as far as growth plans?
So two questions. I'll take the New York City question first. Certainly part of the reason that we've experimented with so many different formats is to see if we can, in an effective way, capitalize on very dense markets like New York City, right? Because there's a lot of customers in New York City, and unless they access Walmart brand through a different channel, right, it's very difficult for those people to have access to Walmart. So yes, so that definitely looking at that. You know, you can't just go in at all costs. We've got to make sure that it fits with our strategy. We've got to make sure that we can do it profitably and that it makes sense. Because again, we have to be able to leverage everyday low cost in order to be able to deliver everyday low price. So we continue to experiment with different formats. Like the Express, like the neighborhood market, to try to find ways into dense areas like that. The second question was around Europe. And we went into Germany, and we've gone out of Germany. We have very successful operations in the UK. Asda is our format there. It's been very successful for us. But as of right now, we've seen a lot better growth opportunities in countries like Brazil than we have in other countries in Europe. And I think that, you know, while we're always going to continue to look at how those markets evolve and change and grow, we'll look for opportunities to have more of a presence in Europe. You know, the other thing is you've got some pretty good competitors in Europe. And you look at Carrefour, and you look at Tesco, and you look at what they're doing there. And so there's some very good competitors there that you have to be really smart, because you don't want to get yourself into a situation where you really put too much risk out there. So. Question.
My question initially was about Germany and why you what you think caused you guys to pull out. What you touched on that. My question now has to do with growth from inside Walmart. How I guess often or how rare is for someone to say a cashier to move up to management and then.
Okay, yeah, really good question. Thank you. And I think I did touch on Germany, but I'll tell you in a nutshell, it really is. I think it was the biggest lesson for us in the way we needed to go into new countries, and that we needed to listen, we needed to understand that it was going to be different, and we needed to know those on the front side so that we could adapt, what we do into a country like Germany, because they had, different customs and culture, and in order for it to be successful, it goes back to the people, right? And the people have to be on board, and if they're not, then you're going to have some struggles there. And then your second question was on upward mobility. Yeah, absolutely. One of the exciting things about working at Walmart for me, and it's part of the reason that I've enjoyed it and have had many opportunities, is because we continue to be a growth company. We continue to open so many stores, which creates a tremendous amount of upward mobility for associates in a Walmart store. So I'll give you a couple statistics. 70% of our store managers, 70% started out as hourly associates. So it's a big part of the company culture is that upward mobility, that truly you can start out as a cashier, you can start out as a part-time associate. You can start out as an unloader, unloading trucks, and work your way up in the store manager ranks. In fact, one of my peers, I started out as a management trainee. One of my peers, Henry Jordan, who lives in Charlotte, and he has the division north of me, he started out as an hourly associate. There are a handful of people, senior vice president level or higher, that started out hourly associates. Pat Curran, one of the legendary leaders at Walmart, first female president of the Walmart US business, and she's retired from the company now. She started out as a part-time sales associate in the pet department, dipping fish and helping customers find what they needed. So it's something that we're very proud of. at Walmart. It's something that we talk a lot about, and I think it's one of the things that really connects associates to their store managers in many cases, because they know they've done what they're asking them to do. So it makes a big difference.
Hi, my name's Piasha. I'm an undergrad business student at Georgia Tech, and my question kind of goes around, you talked about the three basic beliefs of Walmart, and the first one was respect for the individual. And then you also talked about Walmart kind of having a notion around it of quote-unquote frugality. So my question was, how do you find the line between the two so that there's not a trade-off between low prices and quality of work environment for your employees or people who do like production for Walmart?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And so I would tell you, one of the things that really I am so proud of in my time with Walmart is the relationship that we have with our associates. And while my position and responsibility has grown, I don't know all the 107,000 associates that work in my division. But when I was a store manager, when I was a market manager, when I was an assistant manager, that relationship is an important one, and that bond that the store managers and the management have to the associates is a really important one. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity with Walmart to move up. We work hard to make sure that we pay competitive wages in the industry that we're in. And you may hear discussions around wages from time to time. You may hear discussions around sourcing from time to time. And I'll tell you that we are very proud of Walmart, of the relationship we have with our associates, about the benefits that we provide our associates, about the upward mobility that we provide to our associates. We're always trying to make that better. As it relates to merchandise, we source merchandise from all over the world. And we source merchandise from every corner of this country. And we work extremely hard and have a lot of resources devoted to making sure that the facilities that merchandise is produced in or shipped from has the highest of high standards. And the integrity of doing what we say we're going to do and how we say we're going to do it is really important at Walmart. And we keep that in the forefront of our mind when we're dealing with associates, when we're dealing with suppliers, so that we don't cross that line, so that we do maintain that respect for the individual while we still maintain the importance of everyday low cost, right? Everyday low price, so we can continue to grow and to continue to provide those opportunities to our associates and suppliers as we grow together. So, a big thing at Walmart as it relates to suppliers is growing in profitability together, right? Is that we want to be able to grow. We want to be able to certainly have the best price, but we know that it takes that growth for those suppliers to grow in their profitability with us. So, thank you.
What is a company like Walmart's strategy around innovation? Walmart's very frugal, but innovation on the front end oftentimes costs quite a bit of money, and you don't always know what the payout's going to be. So what's your strategy around that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a big part of what Sham spends his time doing. And it is expensive, but there's a tremendous reward for getting that right. I'll tell you that what is our strategy? Our strategy is to continue to deliver everyday low cost. How do you do that? You do that by being more efficient. So I'll give you a couple of examples of what we're doing. Actually, in Atlanta, we have 62 stores in Atlanta, and we just introduced new self-checkout, or right in the middle of it, I guess. We've done about 15 of the 20 new self-checkout lanes in our stores. And I think the best way I could describe our strategy is we want to go quickly, but we also want to think ahead, right? Because it's not just a matter of going from full service checkout to self-checkout. There's a component that, 10 years from now, people might be checking themselves out on their mobile phones, right? And so you have to think, if I'm going to spend money on self-checkouts now, how is that going to interface with mobile technology checkouts 5 years from now, right? And so we believe fully that it's critical that we get ahead of the curve from a technology standpoint with an eye on sort of what's next so that we can ensure that it's integrated. We bring in a lot of vendors to show us, the different technologies they have. We leverage our presence around the world. There's some really innovative technology that's being used in the UK, in different parts of Europe, because when people have different challenges with space, with time, they come up with innovative solutions to it. And so we've really been able to leverage our presence around the world to help us get ahead on the technology curve. So there's a few examples of it. I hope that answered your question.
We've got time for three more questions, and I have the people on my side have raised their hands for. So Ross is first.
Hi, Greg. My name's Ross, and I'm a business student here at Georgia Tech. And my question has to do with your Facebook policy that you're trying to get behind. So when I think of Walmart and Facebook, I think of Pitbull getting sent to Kodiak, Alaska. And keeping that in mind, I had a question for you. What lessons, strategies, and difficulties have you learned in dealing with the social networks?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm sure most of you know the Pitbull story, right? Maybe, maybe not. There was a contest started at Walmart in conjunction with the artist Pitbull that the store that had the most likes, that the most customers liked their Facebook page, Pitbull would go and perform a little mini concert. And so there was a radio DJ somewhere that said, well, let's send him to the most remote place in the US and rally everybody to try to send him to Kodiak, Alaska. And it worked. And I don't know, Katie, what was the total number of
They grew their page by 75,000 likes from people across the country.
Yeah. 75,000 likes on the Kodiak Facebook page, and Pitbull went to Kodiak, Alaska, and had a mini concert. So, yeah. So I guess it's kind of funny, but it's good because it got people talking about Walmart and about Facebook. So yeah, many people know of it that way. Some of the things that we've learned and we're continuing to learn, and Katie could probably speak to this better than I could, but that as you create store-level pages, right? So when you have people getting communication on an individual store, a couple things you have to keep in mind, right? You have to be smart about what you post, right? And so if you want to have and open up to have store managers or market managers to be able to post specific things about their store, that sounds great and that sounds good, but you better have a good system to vet out what people are going to put on there so that you don't put things on there that you wouldn't want just communicated out there to everybody. And on the flip side, you want to make sure that you have the resources in place to be able to respond, because guess what? People are going to tell you things. They're going to ask for things. They're going to talk to you about service. And you've got to have the resources in place to be able to respond. And we have people 24/7 devoted to monitoring that and to responding to that so that we can efficiently and quickly communicate to our customers and adjust our business so we take care of them, as well as making sure that we have a system in place to vet out that the posts are appropriate and that they're communicating accurate information and timely information to our customers. So Walmart Facebook's not just about Pitbull going to Kodiak, but that's fine if you heard that story.
Okay, I'm Vagan. I'm a fourth-year business student. And with Germany and not being successful in Germany, I know Aldi was one of your biggest competitors in Germany, and now they're in the United States. Do you see them as a threat? And if yes, is Walmart Express the answer for it?
It's a good question. We absolutely would consider Aldi a viable competitor. I know how many Aldis are in Atlanta. I know how many Aldis were built this year. And I have a pretty good idea of how many are planned to be built next year. So that would tell you right there that certainly think of them as a competitor. Kevin actually spends a lot of time analyzing Aldi and trying to understand what their strategy is and what they're trying to do. We believe at the end of the day that when we know that what we do best is price and assortment, right? The best assortment at the best possible price, everyday low price. Aldi, like other stores, like other dollar stores, are trying to find their niche, but we can't ignore somebody that's trying to find that piece of the pie that's there. So we absolutely think of them as a threat. You have to. You know, when you have a company that's been that successful in another country and is having the kind of success that they're having here, you absolutely have to stay on top of it. So.
My name is De Wang. I'm a third-year PhD student in computer science at Georgia Tech. And as we all know that in recent years, Amazon becomes a major competitor. I think it became a major competitor to Walmart. And for me, if I purchase things in Amazon, I think it saves time, and also it provides free shipping service for us. It's very convenient. And also, as you have said in the lecture, Walmart is focusing on people. So for customers, do you consider provide a similar service to customers? For example, provide a free delivery for neighborhood committees and free shipping for the customers, or improve your website interface to compete with Amazon?
Yes, great questions. And I was surprised it took so long for somebody to ask about Amazon. We debated whether or not I should just talk about it from the beginning. Amazon is a good competitor. I told you at the beginning that I'm from Seattle. I have a lot of family and friends in Seattle, and some associated directly with Amazon. So the way that we look at that space, and I told you earlier that we see those lines blurring, and we know that for us to be successful there, that we have to leverage the brick and mortar that we have to help us do the things that you're talking about. Because without a doubt, the winner or the winners in that space, it'll be about speed, right? It'll be about the functionality of the site. It'll be about free shipping. It'll be about mobile. Right? Those are the key things that are going to determine the success. We've actually reworked our website, and if you haven't been on it lately, I would encourage you to go on there. It's much more user-friendly. It's much more efficient in terms of navigating through there and making purchases quickly. The assortment is absolutely critical, and we've devoted a lot of resources to continuing to expand our assortment. The speed and the delivery, without a doubt. Free shipping is what everybody is trying to get to, and to be able to get to that profitably is the key. So one of the things that we see with regard to Amazon, with regard to the website, is that ways that we can take advantage of our 4,000 stores throughout the US to be able to more efficiently deliver products quickly. So we have a product called Site to Store, where you can go on the website and you can purchase something, and the next time you're in your Walmart store, you can go and you can pick up that item. So it's an item that maybe wasn't carried in the store, and then when you go in, free shipping, you can go pick it up at the store. We know that we have to get to free shipping to home. And so an example of how we're leveraging our existing brick and mortar is, we have a store that converts the back of the store to like a mini shipping center, right? So that if you are in, North Atlanta, and you buy something off of a website that happens to be in a store in Atlanta, why would we have to ship it from a .com distribution center? Why couldn't we ship it from the store that's 20 minutes away, so that you could have it the same day, right? So those are some of the examples of the ways that we can leverage our existing brick and mortar, our existing real estate to be able to help us. Because if we treat those stores like mini warehouses, then we automatically will have quicker and easier access to customers to get that merchandise to their home, because at some point it's going to be you order it and you want it that day, not the next day, not 2 days from now. And again, if we blur those lines between brick and mortar and the website, then why should you have to pay more to have it sent to your home versus going into the store and buying it? So great question. Amazon is a very good company, and one of the things that we have to do at Walmart is we have to look at those companies, whether it be Amazon or Costco or Target, and we have to learn from them and compete as hard as we can to get our piece of the business. So thank you for the question.
And thank you for coming to Georgia Tech today, Greg.
Thank you.